Sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the ones in the big, splashy headlines. They're hidden in a bunch of smaller ones that all seem to happen at the same time. And on one single day, a few seemingly random news alerts painted this fascinating and honestly deeply contradictory picture of our relationship with the animal kingdom. So let's get into it. So let's set the scene. The day is Christmas Eve 2025. The world is buzzing with all those last-minute preparations. And while most of us are thinking about family and food, these four stories are quietly breaking in the background. And together, man, do they tell us a lot about ourselves. It all kicks off with this wonderfully charming and very official piece of government business. The U.S. Department of Agriculture puts out a formal statement, officially granting Santa's reindeer permission to enter the country. They even made a point to note that the lead reindeer, Rudolph, despite his famous red nose, got the personal all clear from the nation's top vet. Now, obviously, this is all just some festive fun, right? But the real reason behind it is actually pretty clever. This whole tradition is the government's way of reminding everybody about the super serious work of animal health inspections, making sure animals crossing borders are safe and free of disease. It's a sweet story, using a fictional animal to help protect real ones. And this is where our story takes a really sharp turn. Because on the exact same day that we're officially celebrating magical reindeer, a much, much darker reality is unfolding for thousands of other animals all over the world. 19,878. No, that's not a typo. That is the actual number of protected animals that were seized in just one massive global sting operation. And guess when the results of that operation were announced? Yep, right around Christmas Eve. It was called Operation Thunder, and Interpol uncovered this vast, brutal network trafficking thousands upon thousands of animals, a lot of them headed for the illegal exotic pet trade. I mean, to give you an idea of the scale here, in just one bust in India, authorities found over 5,000 red-eared turtles crammed into luggage. And the engine driving all this cruelty? Simple public demand for what people call exotic pets.
So you've got this dark side, right? But at the very same time, our own sense of empathy and justice is also evolving in a pretty big way. Let's move to our next story, which shows this profound shift in how we legally define an animal's right to be free from pain.
Okay, so for literally centuries, the thinking was pretty simple. Invertebrates like lobsters and crabs, they don't feel pain. But now, a landmark new law in the UK, based on a ton of new science, has totally flipped that on its head. It now officially recognizes them as sentient beings capable of feeling pain. And because of that, the really cruel practice of boiling them alive is now banned. That's a huge step forward for animal welfare. And this new wave of animal welfare reform in the UK, well, it didn't just stop with crustaceans. The same legal momentum also took aim at some really controversial devices used on our most common pets, our dogs. And that brings us to our next story. And this, folks, is where it gets really interesting. Because these changing ethics aren't just changing laws. They're starting to hit companies right where it hurts, their wallets. So you've got this fascinating thing happening on both sides of the Atlantic. At the same time, the UK is officially banning electric shock collars as part of its new welfare laws. A major lawsuit over in the United States is holding a company financially responsible for selling those exact same products. Okay, get this. A class action lawsuit against the big brand PetSafe ended in a $1.9 million settlement. So why the big payout? The lawsuit argued the company straight up misled people by marketing these collars as safe and harmless. Now, owners who bought them can actually get compensation, and it sends this crystal clear message to the entire pet industry. You will be held accountable. Now, all of this, the laws, the lawsuits, the changing ethics, it's all happening inside this huge cultural and economic shift, the humanization of our pets. And this isn't just a warm and fuzzy feeling. It's a massive, massive market. So a new report from the American Pet Products Association kind of breaks down what's lighting the fire under this whole thing. And look, the single biggest driver, it's Gen Z, who are becoming the new powerhouse in pet ownership. And they aren't just buying kibble, they're investing in high-quality wellness products and even things for their pets' mental health, like anti-anxiety supplements. So, just how big is this market? Well, the projected spending on pets in the US alone for 2025 is $157 billion. That is the staggering amount of money driving this deepening and, yeah, ever more complex bond with our pets. So let's just put it all together for a second. On a single Christmas Eve, you see this wild spectrum of our relationship with animals.
We're celebrating fictional ones with official government papers. At the same time, we're trafficking thousands of real ones on a brutal black market. We're writing new laws to protect the feelings of a crab. And we're pouring billions of dollars into the happiness of the animals that live in our own home.
It's this wild mix of incredible love and just shocking cruelty, of deep empathy and staggering indifference. We cherish them, we protect them, we smuggle them, and we spend fortunes on them. So the final question isn't really about the animals at all. It's about us. What does this deeply contradictory relationship really say about who we are?